Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie's time as Captain America have given the character a level of stardom, staying power, and importance that many of his fans never could have dreamed of 20 years ago. You don't have to love dairy to enjoy Ben & Jerry's newest flavors. The company's certified vegan, non-dairy almond milk and sunflower butter products have 5 new options that are the tastiest yet. You can now shop 19 total flavors in Ben & Jerry's non-dairy frozen desserts, making the company the #1 producer of super premium ice cream without animal products. With 3 blockbuster films and a live-action television series now under his belt, Captain America has never been a more prominent symbol of the United States, its ideals, and its struggles to actually achieve them. Unfortunately, with 80 years of storytelling under his belt, Cap's many creators haven't always been truthful. Marvel has built a decent collection of mis-truths it has told over the years while aiming to surprise, distract, and mislead its many readers while telling new stories and changing old ones. So what new tasty treats can you enjoy? Photo. Courtesy of Ben & Jerry's. Get ready to pick up. Change the world. A sunflower butter caramel base with fudge chips, graham cracker swirls and chocolate cookie swirls that is created in partnership with Colin Kaepernick. These kinds of lies are far from devious and are pretty standard fare for long-lived comic book characters like Iron Man and the other Avengers, but they aren't exactly truthful either. The curious case of punching Hitler in the jaw. When Joe Simon and Jack Kirby were creating Captain America, they decided that Cap needed a realistic and believable villain on the cover to catch readers' attention, and they decided that the best choice for this position could only be the most despicable man on the planet. Thus, the cover of Captain America Comics, #1, the character's very first appearance, prominently featured Steve Rogers punching Adolf Hitler a full year before the United States would enter World War II against Nazi Germany. The 2 Jewish creators were, quite understandably, already deeply opposed to Hitler and his Nazi party, and chose to make that perfectly clear despite the death threats that would quickly follow. All of Kaepernick's proceeds will go to Know Your Rights Camp, a non-profit organization that fights systemic oppression against black and brown people. Fish food. A chocolate base with caramel and marshmallow swirls and schools of smiling chocolate fish caramel sutra. A chocolate and caramel base with fudge chips and a soft caramel core. Stephen Colbert's Americone Dream. A vanilla base, fudge-covered waffle cone pieces and a caramel swirl. Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Dough. A combined caramel and chocolate base with chocolate cookie swirls, chocolate chip cookie dough and peanut butter cookie dough. Ever since we launched our first non-dairy flavors, we wanted to provide some of our classics and a few unique flavors that are only available as non-dairy, said Dina Wymet, Ben & Jerry's innovation guru. Humorously enough, however, the cover in question is actually a bit of a fib and has maintained a curious place in Marvel Comics continuity to this day because the scene on the cover never actually happens in the comic, or in any of the issues that followed. Like many comic book covers, the image promises a moment that never appears in the comic book, but sucks in any potential reader flipping past it on the spinner rack. This year, we were honored to partner with Colin Kaepernick while also tapping into our top 10 flavors with Americone Dream, Fish Food and Tonight Dough. Ask any kid who has ever bought a comic, and they'll probably call it a lie. Ask any adult, and it's simply clever marketing. Because of all this, whether or not Cap actually socked Hitler in the jaw is up for debate in the terms of Marvel Comics canon. Decades later, tales like Captain America, number 255 and War of the Realms Strikeforce, The Land of Giants, number 1, however, finally did confirm that the event happened in one form or another. All of the delicious and none of the dairy. You can find the new products at retailers nationwide for $4.99 minus 5.49. Carly Wood-related stories. Sonic's new cheesecake blasts sound perfect for summer. 24,000 feet of sweets await at the new M&M store. Summertime is all about fun in the sun and time outdoors, but we can't spend every day at the pool or the park. It also made for a great, tongue-in-cheek element of the hero's promotion by the military in the first Chris Evans starring Captain America flick, where he tells someone, "I've knocked out Adolf Hitler over 200 times." The super soldier serum made him superhuman. When Stan Lee first brought Captain America back into the fold in Avengers number 4, there were a number of now classic aspects of the character that still hadn't been ironed out, and one of the most surprising is how the iconic super soldier serum affected Steve Rogers. In the modern day, the serum transforms the frail Steve Rogers into the vaguely superhuman Captain America. Whether you're looking to escape the heat, the rain or the scorching sun, we have 5 fun-filled ways to spend a summer day indoors. This article is presented by Google Kids Space, a new kids mode on select Android tablets that features apps, books and videos for your kids to explore, learn and have fun. He's infinitely less superhuman than characters like Thor or Hulk, but he can perform physical feats that normal humans couldn't dream of. When Steve Rogers was first reintroduced, however, this was far from the case. Learn more about Google Kids Space here. Build an obstacle course. An at-home obstacle course is a DIY fort mixed with adrenaline. Rearrange the furniture and make your own obstacles out of household items. Painter's tape is an easy way to create stepping stones and balance beams. A large cardboard box can easily be turned into a tunnel, and a laundry basket and dryer balls work great for a mini-game of hoops. Though many people know how the serum once made people peak human, not superhuman, many don't realize that, originally, the serum neither stayed in the subject's system nor kept them at the physical peak it transformed them into. Many mentions are made in Captain America's early stories in Tales of Suspense that he has to train constantly to keep up his incredible conditioning. When the super soldier serum was removed from Steve Rogers in 2014's Captain America number 22 comic, he reverted back to his scrawny, pre-serum self. See more obstacle course inspiration here. Explore their interests with Google Kids Space. Your kids want screen time, and you want to make sure it's quality screen time, with easily accessible content that's age-appropriate, engaging and inspiring. Enter Google Kids Space, a new kids mode on select Android tablets that gives your little one a custom experience based on their age and interests and provides apps, books, and videos to spark their curiosity and discover off-screen activities. There's even a section called Make that focuses on hands-on offline entertainment for kids, like learning to draw their favorite characters or silly science experiments they can do at home. But if this very thing had happened in the 60s, Steve Rogers wouldn't have changed at all, because it was just a way to get there, not stay there. Bucky wasn't just Camp Lehigh's camp mascot. When Bucky Barnes was introduced in 1941's Captain America Comics #1, he was just Cap's plucky teenage sidekick, an orphan who, because of his dad's great military career, was essentially adopted by Camp Lehigh. He only became Cap's sidekick because he knew Steve's secret identity after accidentally walking in on him changing into his Captain America uniform. He received military training after this, but was never much more than Steve's assistant. This all changed in 2005 during Ed Brubaker's legendary run on Captain America. In issue number 12, Brubaker showed readers a series of flashbacks that retold and reframed Bucky's backstory. Whether your kid is interested in dinosaurs or drawing, they'll be able to find loads of entertaining and educational content. It's all included within Google Kids Space's library of content. Learn more about Google Kids Space here. Get crafty with paper. You don't need a ton of craft supplies to get creative. Whether you have construction paper, computer paper or yesterday's newspaper, you have everything you need for a fun hands-on project. Try out origami, see if you can make a paper airplane or make cute matching bracelets. No longer was he just some kid who stumbled into heroism. Get instructions for 34 easy paper crafts here. Make your own band. Sure, guitar is cool, but have you played a DIY pan flute? Get crafty by making your own instruments out of common household items like cardboard boxes, rubber bands and empty toilet paper rolls. He was the best natural fighter that the camp's general had ever seen, and had already trained with the SAS, British Special Forces, and the same people that trained Steve. Additionally, his role in the war was a lot more brutal than it had been before. Once you have a little practice, your kids can team up to make their own band and play some of their favorite tunes. Get instructions for 26 DIY musical instruments here. Try an at-home science experiment. DIY science experiments are the perfect combo of entertainment and education. When your kid is making their own slime or invisible ink, they'll also be learning about polymers and oxidation. Things may get a little messy, which is why we've ranked our at-home science experiments on a scale of 1 to 5 sponges so you can be prepared. See 59 at-home science experiments here. Google Kids Space requires a Google account for your child. Parental controls require the Family Link app on a supported Android, Chromebook, or iOS device. Books and video content not available in all regions. Video content subject to availability of YouTube Kids app. Books content requires the Google Play Books app. Though officially Bucky was meant to be a symbolic counter to the Hitler Youth, Captain America Number 5 established that his real purpose was to do all of the gruesome, dirty work of war that Captain America couldn't be seen doing. He was the advance scout that would sneak behind enemy lines and assassinate commanders, taking out perimeter guards to clear the way for more open assaults. Availability of apps, books, and video content may change without notice. Dark Reign. The list, Avengers, number 1 even claims that Bucky killed Adolf Hitler. Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes were active during the 1950s when Stan Lee reintroduced Captain America. He explained Steve's absence by saying he had been frozen in ice in 1945, but was thawed out when the Avengers finally found him decades later. Google Assistant not available in Google Kidspace. Young kids are so full of energy and movement that parents often don't worry about their kids' physical activity levels until they get closer to the tween years. Unfortunately, this retcon created a new problem. Since both Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes continued to appear in comic book stories well into the 1950s, these stories were suddenly rendered outside the official canon. However, new research suggests that those levels start to decline as early as age 7. A study conducted by the University of Jyväskylä and Like's Research Center for Physical Activity and Health reviewed scientific research and data identifying specific subgroups of physical activity across different life phases and countries. The problem was ignored by Marvel until Steve Englehart's Captain America No. 153 resolved the issue in 1972 in a particularly convoluted way. Obsessed with Captain America, 1950s historian William Burnside accidentally discovered a copy of the super soldier serum formula. Filled with dreams of becoming the new Captain America, he gave it to the U.S. government in exchange for becoming the new Captain America and serving in the Korean War. But when the fighting ended before the project was finished, the government shut the program down. Burnside would have none of it. The man had already recruited a boy named Jack Monroe to be his Bucky, and the pair had changed their names, faces, and voices to exactly match Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. They took the unfinished serum and, for a time, became the new Captain America and Bucky. Unfortunately, the flawed formula eventually caused the pair to go insane, and they were restrained in suspended animation. Thus, the 1950s Captain America stories did happen, and they did feature two men named Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. But for very convoluted reasons, they were actually deranged imposters. Steve Rogers was the only Captain America, though both Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson have famously served as Captain America when Steve Rogers could not. Marvel eventually revealed that there had, in fact, been many Captain Americas before them. The study revealed that the proportion of active individuals hitting a decline in physical activity was highest among kids and teens. While drop-off in sports participation began in adolescence, overall physical activity started to decline already by age 7 among highly, moderately and low active kids. This decline in childhood led to a decrease in activity later in life. However, the opposite was also true with kids remaining physically active correlating with a more active lifestyle as an adult. Since physical activity behavior stabilizes with age and inactivity is more persistent behavior than activity, interventions should be targeted at children early in life before their habits become stable, emphasizes Lunisalo. Additionally, supporting schools and sports clubs is crucial for promoting an active lifestyle for all children. In addition to William Burnside, several other men served as Captain America while Steve was frozen. The first of these was Isaiah Bradley. Introduced in Captain America, Patriot and Truth, Red, White and Black, and recently played by Carl Lumbly in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Bradley was one of 300 African American soldiers who were experimented on unwillingly by the U.S. government in their efforts to recreate the super soldier serum after Dr. Erskine's death.
He was one of the only survivors, but when he stole a Captain America uniform and shield meant for Steve Rogers in order to destroy a Nazi super soldier program, he was arrested upon his return and experimented on further into his old age. There were also two official replacements, William Naslund and Jeffrey Mace. Since parents may have an effect on activating their children, parents would need support for finding ways to do that. Both were costumed superhero allies of Captain America during World War II, and when Steve went missing, the president asked Naslund to become the new Cap in order to keep up morale. Building publicly available sports facilities and safe bicycling and walkways might help in increasing opportunities for being active regardless of age, nationality, gender or educational level, Lunisalo noted. The study showed that having parental support for an active lifestyle was linked with increased physical activity among kids and teens and low television viewing time with continued activity among teens. Shahrzad Warkentin related stories. How much exercise should your kids get? Doctors offer new exercise guidelines for pregnant women. You'll want to pay attention to how to get excited about exercise, so you'll actually do it. When Nasland died, Mace was asked to do the same, and he managed to survive through the end of the war. Though neither had the super soldier serum or Cap's famous shield, both men served with bravery and distinction, and their stories were told in the 2011 graphic novel, Captain America, Patriot. Captain America as an official position. Captain America is often presented as an official position granted by the U.S. government, but as Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine pointed out in the MCU's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the shield doesn't really belong to them, and though the government often, officially, ordains new Captain Americas in the comics, the mantle and legacy doesn't really belong to them either. The owner of the title and shield is, for all intents and purposes, Steve Rogers. At the end of the day, he is Captain America, and the two most successful people to have replaced him were both chosen by Steve. When others like William Burnside and John Walker took on the mantle apart from Steve, their journeys ended horribly. Marvel's The United States of Captain America is challenging that idea, however. A celebration of his 80th anniversary, the comic book miniseries introduced fans to 5 local Captain Americas who each work to protect different types of communities in the U.S. Aaron Fisher is the Captain America of the railways, who fights to protect runaways and homeless youths. Nichelle Wright, on the other hand, is the vanguard of a brighter future, while the Kickapoo tribe's Joe Gomez is the champion of the overlooked. Ari Agbayani takes down abusers on her college campus, and U.S. Air Force Captain Jeremy Merrick fights for veterans' rights. Like America's democracy, the idea of Captain America belongs to the people, not the political elite. Captain America returned a year early to fight the Human Torch. If one was to look up when Captain America returned in the comics, they might be surprised to discover he was reintroduced in 1964's Avengers, number 4. Because although this is correct, they could also see him on the cover of 1963's Strange Tales, number 114. Which proudly announced the grand return of the Golden Age icon to challenge the Fantastic Four's Human Torch. After witnessing a robbery at an antique auto show, the Human Torch is surprised to see his superheroics upstaged by none other than Captain America. Though the figure is wearing red shorts as opposed to the classic blue, he seems to be the genuine article and is readily accepted by the public after foiling the heist. Everything seems on the up and up until readers see Captain America break the robbers out of jail to serve as a distraction while he robs a bank. After Human Torch stops the robbers and gets them to confess, he confronts Cap, and, after a lengthy battle, takes off his mask and discovers that the imposter is really Carl Zante, also known as the Acrobat, a thief with incredible gymnastics skills which allowed him to impersonate the patriotic hero of days gone by. Bucky Barnes was dead. One of the most important parts of Steve Rogers' reintroduction to comics was the conceit that he had been frozen in suspended animation after being launched from a plane by an explosion that killed his partner, Bucky Barnes. For decades, Steve Rogers was constantly plagued by his ever-present, overwhelming sense of guilt due to his inability to save Bucky's life. Then, in 2005, Ed Brubaker rocked Captain America to his core when he revealed that the Soviet super assassin the Winter Soldier was none other than Bucky Barnes. Marvel had told fans for decades he was dead, but he had been alive the entire time.
The Russians had recovered Bucky's body after the explosion and managed to revive him, brainwash him, and give him a new robotic arm to finish his transformation into their personal tool of destruction. Keeping him in suspended animation until he was needed for a mission or to help train the initiates of the Red Room, Bucky had served as a killing machine for decades, and Steve was none the wiser. His shield was always indestructible. Captain America's iconic shield is famous for its invulnerability, its ability to absorb extreme impacts, and for the way it ricochets every time it is thrown, finding its way back to Captain America's hands. Though this is accepted as fact in the Marvel Comics canon now, it wasn't for the first several decades of the patriotic hero's existence. When he was first introduced, the nature of his shield wasn't really explored, and after he returned in 1964 to join the Avengers, his shield was shown to be made of normal metal on several occasions and was even destroyed by the living laser in 1966's Avengers, number 35, and replaced without comment in subsequent issues. The shield, at the time at least, was far less important than the man who carried it. Though it's unclear exactly when the shield's indestructibility was first introduced, 1980s, Captain America number 255 finally established that his round, invulnerable shield was given to him by President Franklin Roosevelt himself to replace the original, heater shield, Steve used in Captain America Comics, number 1. Thus, with this story in place, the quality of Steve's shield was retconned, and it really shouldn't have vaporized way back in 1966. John Walker killed his best friends after becoming Captain America, made famous by Wyatt Russell's performance in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. John Walker was originally introduced as Super Patriot in Captain America, number 323. He was essentially a more extreme version of Captain America who had received super strength from the Power Broker alongside 3 of his friends, Lamar Hoskins, Hector Lennox, and Jerome Johnson. When John Walker replaced Steve Rogers as the official Captain America in Captain America, number 333, he asked all of them to be his new partners, but after running background checks on the 3 men, the U.S. government would only allow Lamar Hoskins to become John's new partner, Battlestar. Enraged, Hector Lennox and Jerome Johnson took on the ill-conceived names of left-winger and right-winger, and became some of John's first supervillains. The 2 men eventually revealed Walker's secret identity on national television and thus indirectly caused the deaths of his parents. This loss proved the beginning of a mental breakdown that led Walker to threaten Lennox and Johnson's parents in revenge unless they fought him at an oil refinery. After he beat them, Walker tied them up near a massive oil drum, lit a torch, and walked away as it exploded, murdering them. Until Avengers West Coast, number 61 established that they weren't dead, and Captain America number 383 made clear that Walker had gone back and managed to save them. Though they were scarred horribly and later died anyway, so it wasn't exactly better. Steve Rogers was dead in 2007. Marvel Comics' Civil War event miniseries ended with Captain America surrendering to Tony Stark and his Pro-Registration Act forces. Though Steve was still vehemently opposed to forcing heroes to publicly register with the government, he realized that physically fighting against Iron Man's team had escalated too far. Prepared to face his day in court and present his argument there, Steve was instead gunned down on the steps of the Supreme Court building by his longtime villain Crossbones in Captain America, number 25. Captain America was dead, except for the fact that he wasn't. It turns out that Sharon Carter was actually the one who had shot Steve, and when she finally tracked down the gun she shot him with in Captain America, number 600, she discovered that she hadn't killed Steve at all. Instead, the weapon was created by supervillains to cast Steve's consciousness into the time stream so that the Red Skull could take over Steve's body for himself. During the events of Captain America Reborn, Steve's friends and allies managed to restore Steve to his body and defeat the Red Skull once and for all. Despite all of the memorial services and news reports to the contrary, Steve had never actually been dead. Sam Wilson first became Captain America in 2014. In 2014, Sam Wilson made history when he became Captain America for the first time in Captain America number 25, or at least, he would have if he hadn't already done so over a decade earlier. Though his page on Marvel Comics' official website still lies by incorrectly listing the 2014 issue as the first time he became Captain America, Sam Wilson actually wore the Stars and Stripes and carried the iconic shield into battle in 1999 for Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty, number 9.
When the white supremacist terrorist group Sons of the Serpent rebranded themselves as the Sons of the Shield, and falsely claimed that Captain America was their leader, they staged an elaborate riot in Harlem to kidnap Steve Rogers and try to mind control him. Believing Steve to be dead, Sam Wilson took on the Captain America title as he attempted to end the violence in Harlem while terrorists openly attacked people on the street. Eventually, Sam tracked the Sons of the Serpent to their new headquarters and discovered what they had done to Steve. After a pitched battle, Sam managed to break the technology that was controlling Steve's mind, freeing him before stopping the Sons' plans to release a deadly virus into New York City. When the 2 men had both recovered, Steve thanked Sam for freeing him and for taking over while he was gone. Steve Rogers was a Hydra sleeper agent all along. When Steve Rogers was reduced to the body of an old man after having the super soldier serum removed from his system in 2014's Captain America, number 21, he asked Sam Wilson to become the new Captain America, and when he was restored to full health, the 2 men decided to share the mantle and both operate as the famous patriotic hero at the same time. Then, Steve Rogers, Captain America, #1 hit store shelves in 2016 and seemingly changed history forever. Steve Rogers was a secret Hydra sleeper agent. He had been a Nazi the whole time. Fans were understandably outraged at a retcon that completely and utterly betrayed everything Steve Rogers had stood for and symbolized for over 75 years. Steve supposedly schemed his whole life against every person he had ever considered Q friend, manipulating Sam Wilson until he became so disillusioned with life that he gave up being a superhero for good. Fans were outraged, and that feeling didn't lessen when Marvel revealed it had all been a cheap trick, a gimmick. They had lied. The events of Secret Empire revealed that this Steve Rogers was actually the Captain America of a different universe entirely, one Hydra had brought to the Prime Marvel universe using a living cosmic cube named Kobik. Armed with this knowledge, Sam Wilson became Captain America once again and led Earth's mightiest heroes to victory over Hydra after restoring the real Steve Rogers to the correct universe.